Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming to you from the beautiful garden city of Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. Welcome Darshan. Hi Natalie. Welcome members. Hello Mandeep, Panchal, Nat Gaurav, and Eric Arcana. Good to see many students in the class. This lesson is IELTS Writing Task 2. This Task 2 question was sent to us by one of our members, and I believe it is a past IELTS exam Task 2 question. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there, and for the general IELTS, check us out at IELTShelp.com. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of help for your writing, including professional editing services. While we wait for a few more of your classmates, this is our academic IELTS website. Here you can click that big red button to join our premium package there. We are an official British Council IELTS registration center and certified agents. Our general IELTS web portal looks similar with the green background. Again, click that big red button. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access, so it is well worth it. United Kerala 55, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Zohid, hello back at you there in Uzbekistan. I hope you're doing great today, making most of your Thursday. Okay, everyone, if you have a chance, go to your app store, get our apps. Academic IELTS Help will link to aehelp.com. General IELTS Help will link to gieltshelp.com. Our Instagrams are IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help. Welcome, Carolina, our chat moderator. Good to have you in the class. If anybody has questions about the IELTS exam, we are happy to help. Send us an email. My email is adrian@aehelp.com. Shasmitha, good to have you in the class. Kashirsha, good to have you in here as well. Nice to see many members coming in. Okay, so we have this class today. We have a couple more classes tomorrow, then some more classes on Saturday. We'll have a question and answer session for members then as well. So lots of classes. Our usual schedule for live classes are Wednesdays to Saturdays. You can see the schedules on our YouTube community board. And here is our task 2 question, and it's a good one. It's an interesting one. So we're going to go through the task completion here step by step. So this is what you should do in your IELTS exam in the writing section. Of course, it's a little bit slower in the class because I'm explaining to you the steps, but as you can imagine in the real exam, you're doing these steps quite quickly, so it fits into your 40 minutes. Okay. All right, and I can see Carolina is congratulating Janal. Janal, I'm guessing you got a good band score on your exam. Yes, Janal says, I'm so grateful I got 7.5 band in speaking and my overall was 6 band. Janal, congratulations. That's great. That's a beautiful speaking score. And if you have a moment, send us a testimonial. All right. So here we are with task 2, our writing question. The first step, of course, is just to really carefully read the question. Take your time. Make sure you understand it. IELTS task 2 writing, you should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Definitely spend the 40 minutes because it's worth most of your writing mark. Nowadays, many mothers take care of the family and don't go out to work. Some people believe they should be given salaries by the government. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Write at least 250 words. Okay. A very interesting question indeed. The next step is to paraphrase the question. Now, this is not your introductory paragraph, students, contrary to popular belief. This is simply your way to guarantee that you understand the question and maybe get some useful vocabulary and start thinking about the answer. So go ahead, everyone, and paraphrase this question using your own words. Okay? So, yeah, in your own words. All right? I'm going to do the same, and then we'll compare. Let me adjust that. Okay, so these days, many mothers parent their children rather than doing jobs outside the home. Certain individuals propose that moms should be paid by authorities for child rearing. To what degree do you support or dispute this position? Okay. So there we go. That's the question. Here's my paraphrase. We've got some students paraphrasing as well, which is great. Okay, so Sammy says these days a lot of mothers are looking after the family and not getting out to do jobs. Certain individuals think they must be paid by authorities. To what degree do you support or disapprove of this idea? Very good, Sammy. A couple of corrections there. All right. I like No Day of YouTube. You've been in the classes for a while. That's great. Some nice scores. Congratulations. Send me a testimonial. I'd love to get it. You just send me an email. I'd love to get your feedback. Okay. Rajveer says, these days a lot of mothers look after their families rather than doing any office job. Certain individuals ascertain that national authorities ought to give salaries to such mothers. Very nice paraphrasing, Rajveer. Hats off. Very natural, accurate. Great. To what degree do you support or disapprove of this? Yeah, very good. Mahi writes, these days women leave their careers behind for raising their children and taking care of elderly members of the family. Some people argue that the government should financially assist them. Mahi, we are not discussing elderly. That's not a part of the question, so do not add information that's not in the question that will create off-topic ideas in the essay, and that will lower your score. So careful with that. Even if it's true, it's not a part of this essay. Nasara says modern moms are more prone today to caring for their children and leaving their professional careers for this. Certain people believe the government should pay them for such work. Okay. Rashika says, at present time, lots of mothers are housewives and do not do any occupation. Certain individuals ascertain that authorities should give wages to them. do you agree or disagree? Okay. Lizzie says, I'm still here watching ads, Adrian. I'm not sure what you mean by ads, Lizzie. If it's something YouTube is feeding you, that's not to do with me. Okay. All right. So we've got some great paraphrasing. Nice work. All right. So we've done the paraphrasing. Again, here's mine. Here's the original. Nowadays, many mothers take care of the family and do not go out for work. Some people believe they should be given salaries by the government. To what extent do you agree or disagree? These days, many mothers parent their children rather than doing jobs outside the home. Certain individuals propose that moms should be paid by authorities for child rearing. To what degree do you support or dispute this position? Very provocative question, quite tricky. What is the topic? What are we talking about here? So identify the topic in a very clear and concise way. Okay. So what are we actually talking about here? If I ask you this after reading this question, what would you answer for this for me? In a very clear and in a short way. Okay. Concise means being short and accurate. Priyanshu says, we're talking about salaries for mothers. Yeah. Okay. Amanda says, mothers should be paid by the government. Yep. Mahi says, salaries for unemployed mothers. Okay. Deepika says, is taking care of the family only child rearing? Yeah, Deepika, I mean, mostly, right? Adult grown men should be able to take care of themselves even if they don't have children. I mean, should be able to make a sandwich and buy some food. But yeah, so definitely most of the work of the family comes from raising children. Yeah. Okay. So topic, Janelle, we're talking about paying mothers for taking care of the family. Yeah. Salaries for mothers to take care of families or of the family. Okay. Yeah, I guess I get what you're saying, Mahi. So mothers taking care of the family could be taking care of the children, the husband, and the parents who might become the elderly, right? But I do think that because they say mothers and not simply wives, I think that it's mostly focusing on children, right? Because technically the term mother means that the woman has children, okay? If the woman does not have children, then they would not be considered a mother. So it was a good question by Mahi. I liked that kind of critical thinking there of, are we talking about raising children only? Not necessarily. So we could argue that taking care of the husband, ill members of the family, elderly members are included in this idea. However, I would make the argument that most of this question is focusing on child rearing because we're using the term mothers instead of housewives or wives. Okay. All right. It was a valid question, Mahi. Valid question. All right. So what's the controlling idea here? Controlling idea, when you're looking at a question that asks you to what extent do you agree or disagree, or my paraphrase, to what degree do you support or dispute the position, that itself would be the controlling idea. Okay, so the controlling idea is the extent to which I agree or disagree with this proposition. Okay, so this suggestion. All right. So that's the controlling idea in this case. All right. The degree to my agreement or disagreement. All right. Sure. Sounds good. So the topic, let's talk about this a little bit. What is it? So what is a salary paid for mothers to take care of the family? What does that mean? Okay, so that's my first question here. What does it mean to pay a salary for mothers to take care of the family? So what does that actually mean? Okay, what do you think is included in that? So how would you define that? Okay. June says the controlling idea is whether the government should pay. It would only be the government. I mean, there's no other entity that could pay for it, June. So here more, the controlling idea is how much do you actually agree or disagree with this, okay? So why, another way you could think about the controlling idea, June, is why is this an invalid or valid suggestion to make, okay? All right. Charmin says it means to give them financial support. Can you be a little bit clearer, Charmin? I think you're just paraphrasing. You're not really giving more information. Deepika says monetization of housekeeping. Ali says mothers get paid because they look after children, taking the mother's role as an occupation. Okay, Sammy says rewarding moms for looking after kids and feeding them and also taking care of the home. Okay. Priyanshu, I like yours so far the best. Priyanshu says to pay mothers for doing household chores and looking after families. Okay. Rajveer says providing a certain allowance each month to mothers who are rearing their children at home rather than doing any outdoor jobs. Yep. Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, I would say giving a monthly payment to mothers for spending a significant portion of their time to do household chores, teach, and care for family members, especially children. Okay. So especially their children. Now, you have to be very conceptual and very visual here, students, when you're thinking about an idea, because it's exceptionally tricky to define what this work actually is, right? So Rajveer says to do work at home rather than any other occupation. But I would disagree with that because I think that a person can mother their family and still potentially do some kind of part-time work at some point in the day as well. So if a mother is working 8 to 10 hours at home and then goes and does a 4-hour job somewhere else, it's kind of the same as a father who might have 2 jobs, one in the morning and one in the evening, right? They would get paid for both. Do you get where I'm going with that? So if you have a man who's doing work from, let's say, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., and then another job from 4 p.m. till 10 p.m., they would still get paid for both of those jobs. So if you have a mother who's working from 6 a.m. till 4 p.m. at home with the kids, and then from 5 till 10 at a workplace, they would get paid for both of those, or vice versa. They're away at work in the morning while the kids are at school and then doing a lot of the housework at home, maybe, right? So it's kind of a tricky one. It's a tough cookie to crack, or a tough nut to crack, but you have to be really conceptual here. Okay, you really have to conceptualize it. Okay, so why? Why do you think? The next question, of course, is why? Why should mothers be paid? Okay, and this is the crux of the question. So this is at the epicenter here of the question, because this will also decide whether or not you should agree with this idea. So why should mothers be paid for their parenting, let's say? Okay, so why should mothers be paid for their parenting? What's the logic here? Why would somebody even raise this question? Okay. Safira says to support the health care and education of their kids. Bifia says to be motivated to do the tasks and not be burdened. Okay, so for motivation. I'm going to take it one step further, Charmin, and say to show appreciation for their time and effort, right? So, and to motivate them to be good mothers. Sure. Rajveer says to have sufficient funds to enjoy life. I would say for motivation to have children. Okay, could be one as well. All right. Let's see. Janiel says leads to receiving better rearing of children. Lizzie says to prevent the loss of self-worth and feeling depressed. Yeah, Lizzie, so that's the inverse or the negative approach to show appreciation, right? Showing appreciation gives them self-worth. So Lizzie, always try to go from the positive side to give them a feeling of self-worth. Okay? All right. So try to look from the positive. Don't think about to alleviate stress, but to give them courage, to give them confidence, right? Okay, sure. So to... All right. I think this is an important one as well for the interest of the future generation. So arguably, when mothers are paid for their efforts and they do a great job or do a better job of raising their children, those children will turn out better as better parts or members of society, and thereby society itself will benefit. Here's an interesting question that I would ask myself at this point, thinking about this question critically. So here's a question. So, does it exist? Are there any places or societies where mothers are paid for parenting today? Okay, so I would think about it critically like this to help me decide and help me for these reasons. So, are there any places or societies where mothers are paid for parenting today? Sammy says not in India. Okay, not in India, not in Vietnam, but are there places where they are? So do you think there are countries where they are paid for parenting? Okay. PHX says, I don't know. Kashirsha says there is parental leave. So if somebody has a job and then they have children. Haryana says, yes, of course there is. Sharman says, maybe in Japan. Sampath says, yes, in Singapore. Okay. All right. In Canada as well. So if you really think about this critically, if you don't know, you don't know. But if you do know, it's important to think about it. So in many countries, companies or the government does provide maternity leave and pay. That means if the mother is pregnant or has a child, they get a year's worth of salaries. Okay. Also, many countries do give what's called child care benefits. It means payment for having children, especially when the family has lower income. Okay, so it does exist, all right? So many countries do give child care benefits. It means payments for having a child or two children, especially when the families have or the family has lower income. So this concept of paying and supporting families with children does exist in most parts of the world. So societies do recognize that there is increased expenses and increased work that is created by having children, okay? So it does. So yes, it exists. And Janil says, I think it exists in India as well. Ellie says it definitely exists in the UK. Okay, so at this point, we do realize that, hey, all right, this question has been somewhat answered. Now, okay, it might not be a monthly salary, like here's $1,000 for 120 hours of work, but it does exist to some extent. So this makes our job a little bit easier, okay? So very important tip here, students, when you're thinking about your answers for task 2, okay? Okay, so don't try to reinvent the wheel. That's the idiom that I'm going to teach you here at this point. So do not try to reinvent the wheel. It's been invented, okay? Societies that, especially societies that have the financial position, do support mothers and even fathers for their parenting efforts when they have children, okay? So it does exist, okay? All right. Haryana, this idiom, do not try to reinvent the wheel, simply means there's no point in coming up with the same idea that already exists. Okay? All right. Kashirsha says in Russia, there's up to 3 years of maternity leave. Absolutely. Yeah, so before children go to preschool or kindergarten, they're highly dependent on their mothers. Absolutely. Okay, so let's then now agree that mothers should be paid. Okay, so we can debate about how this can be structured. We can debate that fathers should be paid as well, but we have to focus on the question. So make sure you stay focused on the question. Okay, so here my opinion would be that yes, I strongly agree that mothers should be paid for taking care of the family. Okay, so then of course the next question here that has to be mentioned because it becomes a part of my thesis is why, right? So these are my thesis points. I'll explain thesis points in a moment. Okay, and they have to be clear, unique, top choice. Okay, so thesis points have to be clear, unique, top choice, and parallel grammar. Okay, so we talked a bit about this with this question: why should mothers be paid for their parenting? And we said motivation to be good moms, to show appreciation for their time and effort, to show that their effort is valuable. Why? Because they're raising the future generation of society, right? Also to have sufficient income for a good quality of life. So we can't write about all of these, okay? The IELTS Task 2 essay, it's about 300, 350 words at most. It has to be a well-developed essay, even though it's short. So we can really only focus on 2 of these points. So what you need to do now is to choose 2 points from this list. Let me make this into a list to make it a little bit easier. They should be unique points, so they shouldn't have overlap, okay? I'll show you what I mean by that, okay? Thesis points, and this isn't, I'm not, by the way, everybody watching, I'm not just coming up with this. These are the rules of standard essay writing. So if you look up essay writing, if you look up how to write a good thesis on Google, in textbooks, it will explain the same ideas, okay? All right. David, I hope you get better. Okay, I hope you get better. All right, so for motivation, let me just move this down onto the next page so we can clearly see all of these. Okay. For motivation to have children, to enable them as best as possible. So these are the different points that I've come up with. So I have, or we came up with, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ideas here. And from this 6, I really only want 2, okay? They have to be unique, so they can't have overlap, okay? So to have sufficient income for life quality and to be motivated to be good moms, I think these 2 are not uniquely different, because to be motivated to be a good mom means providing for your children. So providing good education, providing good food, and providing good food, good education, comfortable clothes, that also is parallel with sufficient income for life quality. So these are not uniquely different. So you wouldn't want these 2 points to be your thesis points because they overlap. Does that make sense about overlapping and unique points? It's a very important one. That's a very common and a very big mistake that many students make, is they have 2 points for argument, but the 2 points aren't really 2 points. They're just kind of the same point, looking at it from different ways. Is everybody clear on what I mean by that? So you don't want overlap on your points, okay? You want them to be clearly unique. So 1 point is A, 1 point is B. It's not A, B, and B, A. Okay? Exactly, David. So no redundancy, because then you end up repeating yourself. Okay, all right, everybody's got that. Good. So to show appreciation for their time and effort, okay, that's a good one. For motivating to have children, that's a little bit of a different point as well. To enable them to raise their children as best as possible, to be good moms, it overlaps. Income from quality of life, it overlaps. So this point, and this point really just overlap. Okay? And then here, for the interest of future generations, I would say that also overlaps with best as possible and good moms, because that is in the interest of future generations. So we've got a lot of overlapping there. So we have to be careful. Okay. All right. Ali says for the interest of future generations. Lizzie says absolutely clear. That's good. Okay. Lizzie says, I learned that it is better to have one solid point and build on that. Lizzie, for the IELTS essay, you want 2 solid points and build on each one of those. If you can make 2 good arguments for why you support an idea, that's the right approach, okay? So you want 2, okay? So, I would go with number 2, yeah, to show appreciation for time and effort, okay? Because just like any other job, to be a good mom takes a lot of time and effort. Okay, so I would say that one, absolutely. And possibly to improve quality of family life. Okay, so you have to reword these. Okay, don't be stuck in the same words. Okay, so here we go. This is how I would do it. Opinion, yes, I strongly agree that mothers should be paid for taking care of the family. Why? A, to appreciate effort, and B, to improve family life quality. Okay, so I would keep it like that. Those would be the 2 points that I would choose. Again, you don't have to choose these 2. There could be some other ones that you will go with, but these for me appear uniquely different, as different as possible, and they seem like valid points for this argument. Okay, so now I have my thesis statement, and now I can begin to write my introductory paragraph. Okay, and my introductory paragraph should contain 3 elements. It should contain a hook, it should contain a background, and it should contain the thesis. Okay. So the hook is an interesting statement that includes your topic. Here it's salaries for moms, okay? And catches the reader's attention, all right? So it shouldn't be your argument. It shouldn't be a quote. It shouldn't be something that someone else said in the past. It should be your ideas introducing the topic, but not an opinion. So don't start with a suggestion. People generally don't like that. People don't like to start conversations with opinions. So if I met you on the street and I said, hey, Ali, you should get a new pair of shoes because those look really worn, you'd look at me and kind of be like, how dare you insult my shoes, Adrian, right, Ali, Hatim? It probably wouldn't be a nice way to start a conversation to give you a suggestion right away. So we tend to avoid that in our writing of persuasive essays as well. We don't want to start with the suggestion as the hook, because then the reader's kind of like, who are you to tell me what I should do? You have to kind of gently lead your reader into that suggestive position, okay? So if I met Ali Hatim on the street and I started chatting him up about the weather and so on, and eventually once we got comfortable with each other, I might say something like, hey Ali, you know, people are often judged by their shoes, and I can see yours are quite worn. Maybe it might be a good idea to get a new pair, and then make my arguments for why, right? And then Ali might say, hey, Adrian, I think you're onto something. I'm going to put a little money aside and get some new shoes. Ali, I'm sure you have great shoes. I'm just using that as an example of how we set up our writing, okay? All right. So introductory paragraph hook, just an interesting statement that includes the topic, okay? All right, you never know, Ali. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. All right? Okay, so write a hook, everyone. Write a hook. Okay? Create create a hook for this. Okay? I'm going to do the same and then we'll compare. So just go with that. So getting paid for motherhood is a commonly discussed topic nowadays. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words. Fits all in one line with 14-sized font. It includes the topic of salaries for moms and just basically tells my reader that, hey, we bring up this topic. We do discuss it in society. It does come into conversations within families, within communities. And it's going to come into discussion again in this essay. So I'm introducing the topic, okay? All right. Charmin says, raising children needs a lot of dedication. Yes, you're not introducing the topic though, Charmin. So Charmin, if I read your hook, I'm thinking about that your essay will discuss the dedication required for raising children. So it's a parallel topic, but it's not the same topic, okay? So for the IELTS, Charmin, really keep on topic. Rashika writes, salaries for mothers to admire their duties is a very important part of the globe. Rashika, you have a bit of an argument in there. It's a bit long, complex, and because of that, you have some mistakes with grammar, and that's going to lower your score. Rashika, simplify, okay? Sammy says, mothers really work hard for the family, irrespective of appreciation. Okay, Sammy, not bad. Yeah, you're on the right track. It's interesting. It does catch my attention. All right, careful. It's borderline, but it works. Priyanshu says, for many days, there is a rising concern regarding salaries for mothers. You mean for many years, potentially. I'm not sure about concern. Definitely it's discussed. Okay. All right. Jaineel is asking, always my font size is 14? No, Jaineel, sometimes it's 15, but I find 14 fits quite well. If everybody finds it small, let me know, and then I'll increase it to 15. Okay. Amit says, millions of mothers spend their life at home to raise the family without any earnings. Okay, Amit, I like it. I think that works. Yep. So you're indirectly raising the question of salaries for moms. Rajveer says, modern societies demand payment for mothers to raise their children. For raising their children. Both works. Okay, Rajveer, good. Yep, that works. Tarun says, mothers should be paid by love, but not by money. I'm right, sir? I think both. I think love is fundamental, if you want my opinion, Tarun. However, love on its own will not buy a new dress for mom that she well deserves. All right. Preet Pushab says, mothers play an important role in shaping the future family. Okay, it's a little bit off topic. So stay on topic, everyone. Getting paid for motherhood is a commonly discussed topic nowadays. Now, of course, to come up with my hook, you have to think about the word motherhood, right? Keep this one in mind. So motherhood, childhood, parenthood, fatherhood. So this suffix hood is the state of being. Okay, so it applies in a lot of these context. So it's a useful one. Keep that in mind. All right, now comes the background. And the background, it gives a definition. And an importance, okay? And this is a good one for this question. Background is extremely important for this question because it's very subjective what we're talking about. I think we all have similar ideas of what it means to get paid for motherhood, and we all have similar ideas for the importance, but I bet that we don't actually have the same ideas, and we're going to find that out very soon. So in this case, especially for a question like this, it's very important that you explain to your reader what you actually mean by salaries for being a mom and why that's actually important to discuss. So why are we talking about this? Okay, so this can be 1 or 2 sentences. Try to keep it fairly short. Okay, again, you don't have tons of time or space in your exam. So fairly short, but definitely do take the time for this, especially with a question like this. Otherwise, it could get very confusing for the reader of what we're actually discussing. Okay, so all right. So here would be a definition of this topic, okay? A monthly salary for mothers to do household chores. So again, at home, okay? So household chores, teach life information or life skills, let's say. So notice how as I'm looking over this, I'm making improvements. This is what you want to do at home when you look over your writing. So mothers to do household chores, teach life skills, and care for children has been proposed by societies in order to encourage good parenting. So I have my background definition and my importance all in one sentence here. It's important to encourage good parenting. Okay, so definition and importance all in one in this case. All right, let's see what you've written for this. Okay, Sammy writes, mothers are key members in all families. They prepare food, take care of household chores, and are multi-talented multitaskers who are relentless in their job for the welfare of the family. Very good, Sammy. I made a couple of slight corrections, Sammy, but otherwise a really nice background. You took a little bit of a different approach, and this is what I meant. Similar, yet different, right? Similar, yet different. So as the idiom goes in English, it's a weird one, but it's an idiom. There's more than one way to skin the cat. It means there's more than one correct answer, and that's exactly why it's so important that you express yourself clearly in the background. Okay. June says it is suggested that mothers ought to be paid for their time and effort. Okay. Rajveer says, for centuries, mothers have been devoting at least 8 hours of their day to look after family members, especially children, to keep them healthy and productive. And many scholars advocate that governments should provide monthly financial assistance to such mothers. Very nice, Rajveer. Again, a bit of a different background definition and importance, but somewhat synonymous. So very, very good. We have more clarity, insight into your thinking as the author. Okay. Yeah, Carolina, thanks for that definition of chores. It's daily errands or routine responsibilities, such as washing the dishes, washing clothes, cooking food, cleaning the house, dusting, vacuuming, taking out the garbage, all of those chores. Okay? All right. Lizzie says, why are the sacrifices of motherhood unnoticed? It is, however, expedited that particular attention is given to the welfare of those women who sometimes neglect taking care of themselves. Lizzie, I think you have a lot of ideas crammed in there, and I think it's a little bit confusing, and also it's quite argumentative, okay? I'm not sure if the sacrifices of motherhood go unnoticed. All right, so again, that's a different argument. Careful not to get emotionally involved in your argument. This is kind of an irony of communication and in humanity, but good arguments are emotionally devoid, which is weird, right? It means that if you want to make a good argument in business or in society, it's often a good idea to actually remove your emotions. You'll be more effective. When people get too emotionally involved in their arguments, their communication will often become confusing and ineffective. It's ironic, but that's the way it is. Okay? All right. So I have my background here as well. A monthly salary for mothers to do household chores, teach life skills, and care for children has been proposed by societies in order to encourage good parenting. Sure, that's what I think we're talking about here, according to me as the author. And then here, I'm just going to take my thesis and plop it in at the end. Okay, so once you have a good thesis, it just kind of nicely fits in to the end of the introductory paragraph. I strongly agree that mothers should be paid for taking care of the family, to acknowledge their effort and my second point, to improve the quality of life for the family. Okay? To acknowledge their efforts and improve their life quality. Okay. Now, notice how I have parallel grammar. Acknowledge their efforts, improve their life quality. Okay? Life quality is not parallel with efforts, so improve their lives. Okay? So again, I'm looking for that parallel grammar in the thesis statement. Okay, acknowledge their efforts, plural efforts, improve their lives. Okay, this is now parallel grammar. So my point number 1 will be about acknowledging the time and dedication that they put in day in and day out to raising children. And then my paragraph 2 will be about enabling mothers to have better lives. Okay, is that clear for everyone, the parallel grammar? Okay, so pronoun, noun, verb, right? So verb, pronoun, noun. Okay, that's what I mean by parallel grammar among points. Okay. It's a possessive pronoun, obviously. Okay, everybody's clear on parallel grammar. Very important in good writing. Okay. All right. So now I have what I feel is my Band 9 introduction. And now I feel confident that I can complete the rest of this essay. Improving their lives obviously means improving the life of the family. Generally speaking, a mother would not be happy if their children are not happy as well. Okay? All right? Deepika's asking a good question. Deepika says, should we have parallel grammar throughout the essay? Yes, Deepika, that's a good question. And yes, you should. So there are a number of rules to parallel grammar in writing. You should have parallel grammar within your essay, meaning that if you're using the present tense, then your whole essay should focus mostly on the present tense, like present perfect, present progressive, and so on. Your essay should not jump tenses. So in this sense, you have parallel grammar and tense. And also, if you have a list of ideas or joining ideas in sentences and paragraphs, parallel grammar is important as well. Okay? All right. So let me just plop my introductory paragraph down a little bit here so we can read it all in one. It's short and sweet and to the point and answers the question. So getting paid for motherhood is a commonly discussed topic nowadays. A monthly salary for mothers to do household chores, teach life skills, and care for children has been proposed by societies in order to encourage good parenting. I strongly agree that mothers should be paid for taking care of the family to acknowledge their efforts and improve their lives. All right. So obviously I've taken my position, I've got my points, and now I'm ready to write the rest of the essay. All right. Tarun, I hope you feel better. Have a great day. That's it for this class, everyone. Tomorrow we will finish this essay, body paragraph 1, 2, and the conclusion. And I hope you come back and tune in tomorrow for writing task 2, a band 9 finish. Obviously, will make sense for the title of tomorrow's class. Until then, you can definitely check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Our websites look like this. This is the general one here. We're a British Council IELTS Registration Center certified agents. Click that big red button to join. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Again, you have editing help for your writing on the websites, practice exams, and so on. This is our academic IELTS website here, blue background. Click that big red button to join us there. Betty baby, you're very welcome. Janiel, you're welcome as well. Good luck on your listening, reading, writing test. Janiel, Potato Op, have a great day. Eugen, thank you for the emojis. That's it for me for now, everyone. Much love to all of you wherever you are in this beautiful world. I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria, British Columbia, and I will be back again tomorrow at this time. Bye, everyone. Oh, and thank you, Carolina, for moderating.